Hi, everyone, and welcome. Sharon Ledwith here. So today I am doing a special podcast, so mid month, but I am absolutely delighted to do this podcast, and I really am passionate about what we're going to talk about today. And my guest is not only a good friend, but an inspiration to everybody here in Ireland. So tonight, I would like to welcome John Scanlon. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Sharon. How are you?
Great now, John. Great. Thanks a million. So delighted to be able to, do this podcast with you. And again, bring a lot of awareness to what you're doing here in Ireland and helping so many people. So I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll kick it off.
Right. Well, thank you firstly for having me. And it's great to be on the podcast. Um, my name is John Scanlon. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and I'm based in Wexford. And last year I got a notion to create the first ever Irish Hypnotherapy Conference, and which was a huge success last year. And we are in the middle of hosting the second one in April. So I'm looking forward to a pretty amazing 12 months. As the last 12 months was kind of a blur almost. So I think this 12 months is going to be somewhat similar.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why again, even to do this for people to understand, I suppose, for me, and I said it only the other day, that, the conference was life-changing for me. It really was. Just opened me up my confidence, and connecting. So it was just so powerful for me. So if
Thank you.
we kind of just again kind of get into it and just kind of
Yeah.
give us an insight about the conference, and again, what is hypnotherapy, and how does it help people?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose before we go into the conference, because there'll be people watching this who are therapists and there'll be people who aren't therapists. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
hypnotherapy is it's one of the most powerful tools. Um, basically, we all go around with beliefs that we've inherited from somewhere, most when we picked up as children. And what hypnotherapy does is it allows us to change those beliefs. So the beliefs that don't work for us anymore. There's people who are anxious, there's people who are afraid of flying, there's people who overeat, there's people who are smoke, there's people who they have all kinds of different issues that are going on. And what hypnotherapy does is it allows us to address the cause of it. So it's not like um, we're just dealing with that surface issue,
Yeah.
because not dealing with the attack in that moment or whatever. We're actually dealing with the cause of it, so it gives people back their own power. Because, and I've always used the analogy that, we're taught how to drive, we're taught how to eat properly, how to train properly, how to dress properly, how to tidy a house, how to tidy a garden. We're taught how to do all that. Um, but nobody ever teaches us how to manage our mind and how to tidy our mind. And when we tidy our mind, if we don't have a tidy mind, then we won't eat properly, we won't dress properly, we won't, and that's what happens. A lot of people who I would deal with who would be depressed or anxious or, they just don't take care of themselves properly in that way. So what hypnotherapy does is it allows them the freedom. I often say people, I'm actually dehypnotizing them from what it is they believe to what it is they want to believe. Yeah. So that is what hypnotherapy is. And of course, it can also be used because our minds are so powerful that we can use it. And I know you do. We use it in a coaching sense. Athletes, for instance, always use visualization to achieve their goals. That is a form of hypnosis. Because all hypnosis is a focused state of attention. And when our eyes are closed for a long time, our mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined, like we are when we're children. Um, so if we can go into that place, we can create that state for ourselves and help ourselves to achieve our goals much quicker. So that's why hypnotherapy is such a powerful tool, because our minds influence every part of our lives, and hypnotherapy influences the mind. Um, and
And again,
sometimes,
even on that thing, I'm sorry.
no, go on.
Yeah, no, even on that, when you're just saying there about, going into, the imagination and all of that as well, and how it changes so quickly as well,
Absolutely.
how the impact can be there, and I've seen it myself, through therapies, and there is a process sometimes as well, depending again on, I suppose, that journey that we are on, there can be a process with some people, but the change, and it's huge, and it's so impactful for people to experience it.
When you deal with cause, you allow that change to happen so much more quicker. So it's not that you're going over the event over and over again. You're actually dealing with the cause. So most clients who would come for anxiety or depression with me would be 3 to 4 sessions. After that, it's kind of pretty much addressed and done. Um, and so therefore it is one of the quickest therapies that exist.
Yeah, same as that now for me. 3 to 4 sessions, and you can see, that they're ready to move forward. And I suppose coming from me, doing the grief and bereavement diploma and doing the coaching and that, it was so much more long. It was so longer. Like, I would have people there probably up against 3 years. Three years coming back and forth. And then when hypnotherapy came in, even though people know, and there's a lot of them that'll be listening, they know I love them and I love to see them, but it's just, it's that change, and it's so empowering, it's just,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know that you're on the same wavelength, and I came on your wavelength, if that's the case, because the conference, I know you want to share this with so many people. So tell us a little bit about the purpose of the conference.
Well, the purpose of the conference really is a lot of hypnotherapists, there's no formal association or there's no, so a lot of hypnotherapists work on their own and it's a fairly lonely field. And it was when I was in London at the UK one, and I kind of just put this notion in my head of why don't, that thought being in my head, it's a lonely field. Why don't we bring one to Dublin? Or bring one to Ireland. And because I did the first one, didn't go to Dublin, I went to Wicklow. Um, but the second one will be in Dublin, all right. But so the first idea behind it was to connect therapists and help people not to feel, so isolated, because so many people will get their qualification, they'll start to practice, and they won't often meet another hypnotherapist, and that's the reality of it. At least that was the reality of it. It's also, I mean, most therapists will engage in CPD, so obviously when you have a conference, there's a lot of learning, which qualifies as CPD. And once, so we have the learning, we have the fact that therapists are now connecting. So that means they're not isolated. It also means they're forming collaborations, and forming friendships, and forming part of a community. And the community is really important. And I, because you've been a big part of that community. But the community helps to create, and so does the conference, an awareness of hypnotherapy, a greater awareness of what hypnotherapy is and how it can help people. So rather than having to, go back over old traumas continuously until it's addressed, you can have 3 or 4 sessions and move on with the rest of your life. And it's a really powerful tool, but for so many hypnotherapists, they're the first people to tell you, people come into their room and go, I've tried everything else, so now I'm here.
You're
But
my
yeah,
last resort.
it's the quickest and most effective. So part of the aim of the conference is to promote an awareness about hypnotherapy, about its effectiveness, and not only to obviously engage with other therapists, form friendships, collaborations, partnerships, and also to bring experts from all over the world, which is what we're basically doing, both in Arklow last May and now in Dublin next April.
Yeah. And that's what I suppose for me last year, going there like that, we had a small group of hypnotherapists who were kind of coming along, and just kind of probably touching in, like, we became great friends.
Mm.
But again, I suppose it was that confidence of moving forward, that confidence of growing. So then when I went to the conference, and it was I don't know what kind of energy was there, but it was just amazing. And it was that thing of, obviously everybody was open, everybody was so friendly when I arrived there. But it was again seeing other people. It was seeing the people from England, and seeing the Irish as well, the speakers, and just seeing how there are so many different ways to again use hypnotherapy, and like, I suppose, to experience them. That was my thing, because everybody gave us something.
Yeah.
And it was when you're sitting there and you got to experience it and you felt that wow factor, you felt that shift, that change. It was really, really, and I think that's where then the community came, because we do have a great community after it. And you have the Facebook groups that I'll link in under these anyways. That's always there to support, and that's
I mean, the thing about that is that people will train in certain schools, and they'll have certain methods and certain tools and certain techniques for helping. The client doesn't really care. The
yeah.
client just wants the results. Um, and so when you go to conferences like this and the community that, we've all built, that you've been a hugely integral part of, um, you get to share. So, like for instance, when we've had 3 events so far in person and loads of online events. And Sharon does so much work behind the scenes on making those happen, by the way, for anyone who's
Talking.
watching.
I love to
But
talk.
if you think about, like in Larne, Kenny was
Yeah.
showing certain tools, certain techniques that people didn't know and weren't
Yeah.
using. Jerry Bears was showing it to us in Dublin, and then you, me, Jenny, and Katrina were doing it in Portlaoise. So there's all kinds of different different tools and techniques that we end up then sharing with each other,
Yeah.
so that
That's
everybody becomes more empowered. And that is part of the aim. But by building a community, we support each other. And what you've been doing with the WhatsApp group and keeping everybody together and organizing those events, and particularly the calls that you do on a Monday night, what you're doing is there's a sharing of knowledge as well. So it doesn't have to be in person, it can also be online. And I know we've had the bigger ones with, Karina and Stephen McGill and whatever. But we've also had the smaller ones where other groups can avail of each other's knowledge.
And
Um,
I think, that was one of another one. I've got a million of the ones from the conference, but that was another thing. For me personally, as loving people and fun. There was for me, there was no like, they're the speakers, you're the guests. It was like everybody, even like, because there's a gala dinner and stuff like that, everybody that night, there was no distinction between one's here and one's there. Everybody, and even when we come into the WhatsApp group, and Jenny and everybody in there as well, we have, Freddie and Carl Smith and Stephen and a lot of the speakers, Karina, in there as well. So like everybody is just, it's the community, it's a connection that everybody wants to help everybody to grow and to become more confident. And I think that's definitely with the Monday nights and people to speak it, we're getting people who are what does Freddie say, a seasoned hypnotist, or but again, it's that thing to get people who maybe mightn't be as confident but want to have that space to grow. And that's what I loved about it. It was just everybody wants everybody to achieve, to grow. And you've created that. And I think sometimes you have to, take that on, because you do be so busy in the background. It is sometimes to take, stock of that, that's what you have achieved here with
well,
everybody that you've connected in,
it
in, in there.
it's just that hypnotherapy is such a passion of mine, because of the power of it. And ultimately, in my life, most of my work has been about helping people anyway.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, say, um, finding and working with a tool that is so powerful, um, and then having, gone to the States to conferences and gone to London to conferences, you see that that's missing here. And for me, the beauty of it is that, a lot of the worldwide talent is actually in the UK. It's only an hour's flight away.
Yeah.
And they're more than willing to come over. Um, and and Europe. I mean, when I was in Vegas during the summer, I flew via Dublin into Chicago, and I took a short flight by American standards from Chicago to Vegas. It was 4 hours. Most Americans flew longer than I did.
Yeah.
But you'd be anywhere in Europe in 4 hours.
Yeah.
So, like, this conference can be a central hub for Europe, and obviously the Americans love Ireland as well. So therefore, you can tie it all in, and this can actually be a much larger conference. And this year um, we have one speaker from the US. There are people coming from as far as Canada. And I've had interest from Australia and various other places for speaking, and it's kind of like, wow,
Wow.
So
And
um,
it's that passion that you can see, that again, like you say, you have that passion for it. So do you want to give us a brief kind of background in how you got into hypnotherapy? You know,
yeah, um, like a lot of people, it was almost by accident, to be honest, but it never was in the end,
yeah,
to be fair. So, I mean, basically in 2009, to cut a really long story short, um, 2009, marriage broke up, trouble with the kids, and I spent about a year in counselling. And it didn't really get me very far. It was almost and my, I don't mean to upset anybody with this, but it was almost a disempowerment that I was nearly asking the counsellor, you know, is this the right thing to do rather than judging myself?
yeah,
And shortly after, I discovered meditation, and because I'd always been interested in the mind. Um, but I discovered meditation. I found that really useful. And then I discovered Reiki, and I was really loving that, and then running meditation groups. And then around 2016, someone introduced me to training, and I took the opportunity to do it. And ever since then, it's just really transformed um, my life in so many different ways, because it's given me the power. Um, it's given me the power to do things that I wouldn't have otherwise done,
yeah,
and to overcome stuff, because, and I've mentioned it on other podcasts and stuff, but I'm adopted, and there was a history that went with that. Um, and it meant that, spending 6 months in an orphanage meant that there was some kind of childhood trauma that was attached to me, but hypnotherapy has helped me to overcome all of that.
yeah,
Um, so I'm a real avid believer in the power of hypnotherapy, and that's from my own personal just experience.
yeah.
Um, and I see it obviously with my clients all the time. Um,
So when
and
I think when we experience it ourselves, and I'm not saying that everybody has to, to become a hypnotist, you have to experience, but we all do have, it's like that, we all have stuff, and it is when you find something that, for me, it would be meditation as well, then, went into hypnotherapy, and those changes then were quite quick. As I said earlier, they were quite quick, but then I have that drive now. I have that drive and that passion to, to do this for other people then, because I've experienced it. So I can hear that from you. And again, it is that thing of, when there is childhood trauma or any kind of trauma, that I was a bit like the counselling myself. I said it in podcasts. I was nearly going in the bus telling her, I knew what I was going to say. Oh yeah, I had a great week. I had a great week. I just wanted to get out and get back out, probably to the pub, but and again, some people will have absolutely fantastic experiences with counselors. So it is. I believe it's our path. I believe very much what we're drawn, what as far as one pass us,
absolutely,
and we've all been
absolutely,
drawn on this path now together. So, um, one of the things I suppose I wanted to kind of put out there as well, because a lot of my listeners are, a lot of them are my clients, and a lot of them are people who watch my page. And again, there will be other people who will listen to it when you share it. So is the conference just for hypnotherapists? What will the hypnotherapists who are already hypnotherapists receive? And then is it just for hypnotherapists, or can, anybody come
okay.
to?
Well, I'll start with the second question first. Well,
Yeah,
the answers to
perfect.
that is no. So
Yeah,
anyone with an interest in hypnosis whatsoever.
yeah,
And I mean, if somebody is thinking about going, what I would say to you is, just have a look, because there's some fascinating speakers, and it's not just on hypnosis, because there's the business of therapies, there's business components to it, marketing components to it. But if anyone is interested in hypnosis or in even looking at hypnosis, there are so many tools that will be available that weekend and so many speakers from internationally that when you consider that it is a really quick method for change, it allows other people to just look and see if it's for them.
Yeah.
Um,
I was going to say, if anybody was, a therapist already, because I would know a lot of reflexologists, I would know, cranial sacrals, homeopathists. If anybody is again already, a therapist, that just wants to again see something that might add on to, because I definitely for me it was just okay, I'm doing this, just with everything. So I think, and I would be saying it to a lot of the people who I have taught Reiki to, who I have, who have businesses now after my inner circle. That's what I'm saying. If there's something else that feel that you want to give to your clients, then 100% this is something
absolutely.
that, yeah.
And for any therapist, I mean, basically, if I was to go through the schedule, we have, say, Gary Coles, who works with cancer patients in the UK, and does an awful lot of work in hospitals in the UK. And he has his own course on cancer oncology or on hypno-oncology, which is a really good course. And that helps people through the cancer journey. You have, Rob de Groof, who has a very powerful method that he's going to share at the conference. You're going to have Kaz Riley, and she's looking at sexual freedom. You're also going to have business side of it then. So the likes of Stephen McGill on marketing for therapists. And that's a really powerful session that Stephen does, and you've seen that yourself. Sheila Granger, who is 15 ways to build your business as a hypnotherapist. That will apply to any therapist, by the way.
Yeah.
Jason O'Callaghan is doing ways to make money as a therapist. So there's a whole lot more, and I'd actually have to open the schedule because there's over 20 speakers.
I
And
think our
it's really
podcast
hard
will
for me
last
to
2 hours if
remember
we start that.
everyone. But one of the ones I'm really looking forward to is Carl Smith, because Carl is doing one, and it's working with military and emergency services and their families. So Carl is a former soldier, former policeman, but he works a lot with soldiers, with police, with fire, with ambulances, and the impact on the families of the trauma that they experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's an hour and a half presentation on Sunday, and that's absolutely going to be absolutely, fascinating. I mean, Freddie Jacquin is there. He's doing one, changing lives in minutes, and because his techniques are so powerful. Kate Bevan Marks is doing rapid therapy techniques, that will help us to help clients even quicker. And then there's a whole lot of new people. Like there's new speakers that have never spoke before. And three of them are from Ireland. So we've Fiacre Morrison. Fiacre is speaking. Laura MacDonald, who's been on your podcast, is speaking.
Yeah.
And Sarah Jane O'Neill is speaking. And she's going to show a new technique. Well, it's actually hypnosis without trance, which is, without the formal inductions and what have you. Stephen Travers talks about anxiety through your amygdala and how to communicate with your amygdala, which is which is the cause, which that allows that flood of anxiety to flow through you. Sue Peacock, reversing the negative spiral, how to use hypnosis to manage depression. So there's so many different
So
talks,
much.
right? So many different talks.
So many aspects as well to it. It's just like
Absolutely, and
you can go for
including
yourself, you can go for a family member, you can go for, to grow,
yeah.
yeah.
And actually, there's a lovely talk, and for any therapist, actually, it's the use of metaphor. So if someone, even if you're talking about a reflexologist who's lying on a bed, if they understand metaphor,
Mm-hmm.
they can help somebody to change. And Adam Cox is doing that on Sunday morning. So it's kind of there's something there for everybody, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is now it's as good a lineup as you'd see anywhere.
Absolutely, definitely. So tell us, John, what is the next steps Apart from, well, not apart from. Oh, and actually, sorry, I wanted to jump in there now and say as well that just for anybody who wants to know more about, when I put the links, there's John actually has a podcast. So he has, well, he's mid doing all the speakers, so you can hear from the speakers. You can hear everything that they're going to talk about. So there's great interactions there, and that's on the Facebook group.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
Irish Hypnotherapy Conference podcast on YouTube.
Yeah. And even for that's fantastic as well, for that idea to come up and, to interview them, where people then get a more an idea, maybe the ones who are coming, even though we have to put them all in a hat because we might be able to get to see them all. But so it's a lucky dip for some of us. But yeah, so all of that information is on the Facebook groups.
It's on the Facebook group. It's on the website, which is Irish Hypnotherapy Conference.ie, and on YouTube, Irish Hypnotherapy Conference. So
And
it's
I
on.
put all of those in under anyways, that you can come in. The community one is great as well, as well as the conference one. Community one is great as well. And we do advocate for people to come in and ask questions.
Yes.
I think sometimes people, might be a little bit, especially if it's a new hypnotist, is afraid to come in and ask questions. But everybody in there just wants to help.
Supportive.
So supportive, so again, always pop in the questions, any questions. Remember, there's no stupid question.
Yeah, only a stupid answer.
That's why I don't answer. So John, tell us the next steps. Obviously we have Dublin, but again, what is the vision?
The vision is to
Passion's there.
expand that. Yeah, the passion's there. The vision is to expand the conference, and to expand the skill set of therapists in the country. That starts this week. It started with the stuff that we've done with in Larne that we spoke about, and
Yeah.
in Laois and in Dublin, where we've had the individual trainings, where you've been doing the group sessions online. So it started with that, but it's also now about, say, bringing in international experts, and like you do have international experts speak at the conference.
Yeah.
The plan is that will expand, and the plan is that the conference will be a catalyst for hypnotherapy to be a larger therapy in Ireland, and to be a more go-to therapy in Ireland rather than. And in addition to that, it's also about expanding the breadth of skills that therapists will have. So that involves, trainers coming in and doing training here, just like is happening this weekend with Freddie Darwin. So I'm hoping that there'll be more of that over the next few years, because it is just about, there's always new techniques. The brain has always been studied. There's always new ways and quicker ways of helping people. And it really is to bring that to therapists so they can bring it to their clients.
Yeah. So the ripple effect, John, the
It
ripple
is
effect.
the ripple effect.
Yeah.
I'm just a conductor in the background, that's all.
No, you're not. It's that, and again, like, when we look at Gary and we look at people, Sheila, who've gone into hospitals, and, people who work with schools, that this is it, we're becoming that, ripple effect for people, to again get it outside of, make it again, more like something, a go-to thing that,
Absolutely. And it is also the case that, a lot of people have a fear of hypnosis. They've seen it in a movie, or, and it normally tends to be the scary thing. They've seen it in, a stage show, and think that that's going to happen to them in a therapy. It's the same tool, it's just used in a different direction.
Yeah.
It's
But I
used for.
do have to say that I probably would have been one of those people until the conference, and then when I went up on stage with Jason, and then when Jerry made me an alien, talking like an alien in Dublin, that has its place
I'm
as
going to
well.
post that video later as well.
I'm not, you know, but it was so funny. But and I do, for me, I suppose, out of the conference, stage hypnosis has its place as well, because it is fantastic. It's great to experience, and I think as well, it is that thing that that you know if you're up on stage, you want to be up on stage, you
Of
know?
course. And that's the thing. And I did have a conversation and I found it really interesting because, for any therapist watching this who might have a certain view of stage, there's really 5 skills you need as a stage hypnotist. Um, you need to be able to hypnotize people, obviously. You need to be able to be aware of people and how they react.
Mhm.
So that you can see who's going to come up on stage because the people who are up on stage are the most hypnotizable. They've gone through all the tests. And you need to be creative
Yeah,
because that's what the tools are. The performances that they do. You also need to be confident. Now, any therapist can do with those skills.
yeah,
So stage is nothing to be afraid of. In fact, if you can do that, then you really are a really confident hypnotist and you can, there's not much you can't do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
So
definitely, the conference opened that up, for everything I kind of did afterwards as well, and experienced it. It
and of course,
definitely opened that up.
the other side of that is, stage hypnotism provides entertainment, and that's what it is. It's entertainment. It also provides the wow factor. It provides laughter, and all of these are great for people just to actually just experience laughter.
Yeah, have
You
fun.
know, and fun. Basically, that's
Let
it.
yourself go.
That's it. Just
Become
let
an
yourself
alien.
go. Or you can be in the crowd like me laughing. I'm still getting the same effect.
John, anything that you can give our listeners, is there any kind of final words, that you would like to put out there um to everybody, whether it is a nugget of information, or whether it is just, again, going back to your passion, what would that be?
Um, I would, if for anyone who's a therapist, I would just ask them to engage. I would ask them to engage. There is a beautiful, supportive community that literally is aiming every day to support each other.
Mm.
And you see it in the WhatsApp groups. You'll see it at the conference. You'll see it next weekend in Dublin. Um, and that community will help you and your business expand. And it is about, you know, but for that to happen, you've got to be there. You got to be as part of it. Um, for anyone who's not a therapist or is looking at this and hasn't really experienced hypnosis or hypnotherapy, it really is a powerful tool and it's nothing to be afraid of. Um, because we all go around in a state of trance, we all observe or absorb things as children, which dictates the direction of our lives. And if we're not happy with that, then the likes of Sharon, me, and various others can actually help to change that direction in your life. Um, and to empower you just to live the life that you want, because that's all any of us actually want.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and the
we
last
deserve,
thing, huh?
and that we deserve.
Absolutely. And the last thing for any therapist who is watching this, you've got the thank you letters, but for those you haven't got from every client. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for the work that you do for all your clients because you're helping people improve their lives each and every day. And that is a very noble cause.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us when the conference is on, John.
April 20th and 21st in the Clayton Hotel, Dublin Airport. And there, as I said, there are people coming from the UK, there's people coming from Canada, there's speakers from the US, the UK, from Belgium, and from Ireland, obviously. And it's going to be a really amazing weekend. The conference is actually on the Saturday and Sunday, but it does start on the Friday night. So
Till
uh,
the Monday.
till the Monday, absolutely. The Friday night is Hypno Games with Kate Bevan Marks, which is a really fun, and it doesn't matter what level of a hypnotist you are. I've been in groups with people who have been top of the field, like Sean Michael Andrews, and people who have just come in, and it's great fun. Um, and that's going on for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. So anyone who's either staying in the hotel Friday night or in the Dublin area, just come on down. Um, and then it starts at 9 o'clock on the Saturday morning with Karina McAvoy, and she's first up on Saturday morning, and then finishes on Sunday with Carl Smith. There may be there is a gala dinner as well, and there may be a few things I haven't actually finalized yet, which may still make their way in to,
Okay.
but
There might be some surprises.
just maybe one or two.
Okay, John, listen, I suppose for me and for everybody else, we want to thank you definitely because, of the community and, just the growth in the last 7 or 8 months has just been, um, massive for me personally. And I just know, a lot of people who I'm in touch with every day. WhatsApp is, I definitely own shares in WhatsApp now after the conference. But again, I suppose it is, a massive thank you for bringing it to Ireland, and, creating this change for everybody, and becoming that ripple effect and allowing others to do that also. So, John, I want to thank you so, so much. All the links will be below. And again, if they want to get in contact with you, John, what is the best way?
You get me at either John at Irish Hypnotherapy Conference.ie, or you can put my phone number in the bottom of that. That's absolutely fine.
Okay, perfect.
All
Okay,
right.
John, thank you so, so much. So that was my special guest and my special podcast in mid-month. So I'm just delighted for me personally. And, I hope to see you all there. Thanks a million.
Thank you.